Hello, this is OK Comics, and this is just a test. I apologize for the shaky cam, but I just found out that I bought the worst and weakest camera stand, and so it is not going to work for what I'm trying to do. So for the time being, I'm going to have to continue holding the cell phone in my hand. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but back in the 90s, besides Wizard magazine, there was a competitor magazine called Hero Illustrated that had a sort of Image Valiant kind of rivalry with Wizard. Like Image and Valiant were competing for the third place in the American superhero comics market. Similarly, Wizard and Hero Illustrated were competing for the number one spot when it comes to comic book magazines, comic book news magazines. Obviously, Wizard won that one, and Wizard was very much biased towards Image Comics, and it is said that Image Comics owes a lot of its initial success to the Image crew, and Hero Illustrated was a lot more focused on Valiant. Ironically, though, when it came to making an actual special about Image Comics, Hero Illustrated beat Wizard to the punch. So here it is. It's very well loved. So this is a relic of ancient times. And this is a special that they published when Image Comics was already a thing, when Image Comics had already made its big splash, and they had already made it clear that they were there to stay. So in terms of timing, this is around the time when the Image guys are starting to launch their secondary titles drawn by other people, and this is right before Rob Liefeld's wedding, right before Jim Lee's sabbatical, right before the animated show attempts. There's mention of both the Wildcats and the possible Youngblood cartoons in here. And it has interviews with most of the Image creators, as well as these sort of little write-ups about the protagonists and antagonists of the main titles, the main sections of the then interconnected Image universe. Which these write-ups don't offer the amount of information that you would expect, really. Some are really just a collection of words that don't really say a lot. But they're there. At least you get a little bit of a visual of the characters, although some are rather obscure. But they're there. At least you get names and little bits of information. And there are interviews with the main Image creators, as well as with their would-be successors. And some news about the direction that the company was going to go into, which in some cases it's a direction that they took only very briefly, and sometimes things were kind of killed on the spot. But in general, it's a very interesting read, and there are some nice bits of information here. that I don't think you can find anywhere else. For example, this is the magazine where I read about um, the image guy's main concern that Marvel would harshly punish them in case image failed and they had to go back because they had seen the treatment that John Byrne had received, and that he returned stating that he wanted to do Fantastic Four or Avengers again or some of the big titles, and he was given the shitty titles like Avengers West Coast and She-Hulk and all that, and he was given no chance to really take on a major selling title ever again at Marvel. Um, so yeah, the image guys saw that, and they were very afraid that that was going to happen to them. So that's kind of one of the reasons why they went all in with image and gave it their all, because they knew that it was an all or nothing kind of deal. That if that failed, their work perspectives in the industry, in the mainstream industry, were going to be pretty much cut short. And it's also kind of a portrait of a very innocent time when everything was still going well within the image guys. Obviously, there's a lot of spin, so nothing is going to be presented in a negative way. That may be the reason why there is no Sam Keith interview in this book, because most likely Sam Keith was already completely fed up with Max and completely hating it. Um, and perhaps they decided not to include it, or not to do it in the first place. Most likely, I think he just decided to excuse himself from the interviews, despite the fact that his artwork and his characters are still highlighted throughout the magazine, throughout the special. And he even has a write-up. But yeah, no internal interview with him, which is a shame. But well, we get everybody else, even people that were barely published up to that point, like Stephen Platt or Portacio or J. Scott Campbell, who were, or Todd Knock, that were just starting with the company. And the guy that stayed with the company for a very short time, which is Larry Marder, but it's still interesting to see his take on things. So I don't know if any one of you would be interested in a more detailed examination of these, or maybe separate videos going through the individual interviews. So I don't know. Let me know, and I'll see what I can do.